What are the exact 3 things that made me my first $1 million at the age of 25? What's going on, guys? Ravi, Abuvala, founder of Scaling with Systems, where we help online companies massively grow through sales funnels and paid advertising. And I made my first $1 million at 25. And earlier on today, I was trying to think back as far as what was the exact steps that I took to make that $1 million at such a young age. And I've also helped a few other people make their first $1 million before the age of 30. And every single one of them had these 3 characteristics. So I'm just going to dive right in and give them to you now. So the first characteristic is to learn a massively marketable and valuable skill. Now, this may seem like a no-brainer to a lot of you that watch this video right now, but I've helped a lot of people make their first $100,000 a year online, their first $1 million a year online, and I see a lot of people chasing the wrong things. They're selling what they want to sell, what they're quote-unquote passionate about, not what is actually valuable to the marketplace. Inside of our company, one of the things that we spend a massive amount of time doing is finding product market fit, and we figure that out before we even decide what we're trying to do. So we're pretty much going to the marketplace and saying, hey, what do you guys want? What are you willing to pay for? And then we actually have them prove it by paying us the money in the first place, maybe even before we've learned the valuable skill. But just showing up one day and being like, I'm an entrepreneur or I'm a business owner, like I see everybody doing in their Instagram bio, is not enough. You actually need to understand what is that valuable or marketable skill that people want, and then become the absolute best at it in your fields. That is a biggest issue that I see, is that people try to learn 10 different things in 10 different niches, in 10 different industries, 10 different skill sets. And in reality, if they just took all of that energy and instead just went straight into one thing for one type of person and became the absolute master at it, then they could charge an exuberant amount of money. I'm at the point now where if I do a one-on-one with somebody for a full day intensive, I can charge $50,000 for one day of my time. And that's because I'm an absolute master at what I do. If I was trying to offer 50 things to 50 different people, then it would be very difficult for me to charge that amount of money because I'm essentially a generalist at that point. So if you guys are starting your first business online or you're thinking about going online, stop thinking about, what should I sell these people? What should I sell these people? What should I sell these people? And instead, just do the very simple thing and go out and ask the marketplace, what do they want to buy? Now, the second part of the first thing is that not only do you need to learn a valuable skill set, but it needs to be scalable, okay? So not only does it need to be something that people are willing to buy, but it needs to be scalable. For example, when I was in high school, I used to run a beach chair service. So I used to literally set up beach chairs every single day for people that were coming down to Seaside, Florida, which is my hometown, and then they would come and enjoy the day at the beach, and they would tip me some money. No matter how hard I worked, if I worked 8, 10, 12 hours that day out in the sun, I could only set up like 100 or 200 sets of chairs. And I only had a certain amount of beach space that I could set those chairs up on. But now, in the world that I'm in right now, I can help somebody create a sales funnel that is massively scalable to help them sell an online product or a digital information product or something massively scalable like a SaaS product, software as a service, where they can sell 1 million of those in one day and it won't break their system. There is no limit on how much they can sell. So if I allow them to unlock this hidden potential of new clients and new customers by building them a sales funnel, paid advertising campaign, then my 3 to 5 hours of work building that out for them can literally end up being massive, like millions of dollars for them on their bottom line every single year. So not only does it need to be valuable, but it also needs to be scalable. Now, the second characteristic that I use in order to make my first $1 million online, and this kind of plays into the first one, is I found the right vehicle. So what do I mean by that? Well, if you learn this incredibly valuable skill set in a marketplace, and let's say, for example, it's scalable, for example, online advertising. Maybe you learn how to run ads and acquire new customers for people, for businesses, and you have the pick of the litter of who your industry and who you want to work with. And if you're like me, when I first got into this world, I chose restaurants. I chose restaurants because my brother owns a bunch of restaurants. I've been serving in restaurants my entire life. I love restaurants. And so I had a lot of like quote unquote domain expertise inside of restaurants. And so I thought that that was what I was going to do. And I still remember to this day, my first client was the Italian restaurant I was working at right after I dropped out of law school. I was making like $2,000 a month working for them. And I said, hey, if I ran a free trial for you and I was able to bring you more customers, would you be willing to, pay me a retainer? And I didn't discuss what the retainer amount was going to be. And they said yes. And so what I ended up doing was running an ad to local. We did like I forgot, it was like Professional Wednesday, where we did $5 martinis at the Italian restaurant. And we ran the ad it was in Atlanta, Georgia, to the local area. And in the local area, there was like the UPS headquarters and like 2 or 3, like an Amazon headquarters were there or something like that. And we said, show your work badge and you'd get $5 martinis. And it was an absolute sensation. I remember walking in the first day that we did it and I could literally barely see the bartender because there's so many people that were there. And so I learned this massively valuable and marketable and scalable skill set. And I chose to do it with restaurants and it was a big hit, except for that night I go to the back office to speak with the owner of the restaurant. I said, awesome, like this is such a great thing. Like, yeah, thank you so much. And I was like, great. So I'm thinking that we start out about $1,700 a month for my retainer to start. And he goes, $1,700 a month? He said, like, I barely net profit that after all of my expenses are concerned at the end of the month with a restaurant. There's no way I can pay you $1,700 a month. And that was my first lesson in choosing the right vehicle, because I could bring that restaurant an extra 100 or 200 customers, but if those customers' lifetime value are $50 or $100, then I'm really barely making any money for that restaurant. And so I can't charge a lot of money for them. And then I learned that hard lesson there and I started transitioning over immediately to real estate. So I started generating leads and deals for real estate, because if I could sell them a $100,000 or $1 million home, I could make them $3,000 or $30,000 and they'd be willing to pay me $1,500 or $2,000 after that. But then the issue with that vehicle was that the average real estate transaction cycle in the United States is like 4 to 6 months. So it would take so long for them to get paid. And so it would be very hard for them to pay me every single month. So then I went one step further and I found an even better vehicle, which I think is honestly one of the best vehicles, the best industries out there, which is essentially online business, which is, coaching programs, consulting, online services, high ticket products, SaaS, any of that stuff, which is we have thousands of clients in right now. Because in that example there, what I was able to do is I could make them do one thing for them in that very valuable and scalable skill set, and I could unlock millions of dollars in profit, and there was no cap on how much money they can make on the end. And because I was able to do that, I was able to charge so much more money. Now I'm able to charge $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $150,000 because I can make them so much more money. And it's not that one business owner is smarter than the other business owner. It's just that one vehicle is better than the other vehicle as far as scale. All right, so the third and final thing that made me my first $1 million at the age of 25 was networking. And I know, you've heard the saying, your network is your net worth, and I'm sure you're tired of hearing it from multiple different people, but I was doing okay in my first business when I was running an advertising agency for real estate agents, and it wasn't until I went to my first mastermind where I got around other people that were in the same industry that I was in. It was an in-person mastermind in Atlanta, Georgia. I'll never forget it. And I started learning from other people that were ahead of me. That, I was making like anywhere from $3,000 to $8,000 a month. And these people were making $70,000, $100,000, $120,000 a month in their advertising agency. And I was able to just like reach out and touch them. I was able to ask them questions about how they got to where they got. And they were just like casually over lunch explaining everything to me about what I needed to do to take my agency to the next level. And on top of that, I met a few good friends there that I ended up moving into a house across the country. They lived in Kentucky and Ohio, and I lived in Florida, and we moved across the country to California, San Diego. I had never been there before. I didn't know anybody there, and we moved in a house there, and it totally transformed my life, because instead of being surrounded by people who were my close friends from high school, whatever else it was, and they were good people, but they didn't have the same mindset and they didn't have the same goals and intentions and ambitions as I did. And if I tried to talk to them about that, they would almost make me feel wrong or small for bringing it up to them. So it kind of suppressed me a little bit. And when I got around these other people, they were talking about these massive, grandiose dreams. They was like, I want to be worth $1 billion, and here is how I'm going to do it. And not only that, but some of them specialize in finance. Some of them specialize in advertising. Some of them specialize in building teams. And so I was able to ask them tips or questions on a daily basis because they were my roommates, and get answers that other people would pay $50,000 or $100,000 for. And that massively, massively super turbocharged my growth. And I know right now I host an event every single year called Scaling with Systems Live. It's in April every year in Miami, Florida. And it is an absolute banger. Everybody loves it. And it's because not just the content that we teach there, but because I'm able to get together 200, 300 really high performing entrepreneurs to network together for 3 or 4 days, do business with each other, get to know each other, and level up their lives. So that in itself, if you're able to find a very marketable and valuable and scalable skill set by actually asking the marketplace, and then if you find the right vehicle to use that skill set in so that you're not handicapped, even if you're the absolute master at your craft, if you can barely get them a result because of the way their business is set up, then you don't want to be inside that industry. If you can find the right vehicle, and then finally, if you can do all of that while being surrounded by the right people, then your life will totally transform. And likely, if you work at it hard enough and you don't give up, you'll be able to make your first $1 million. So hopefully you guys thought that was valuable. Please comment down below and let me know if you guys agree with that, you disagree with that, any questions you have about me making my first $1 million or any of those 3 things that I talked about. And please, 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 if you guys got value out of this video, make sure you smash the like button and hit subscribe. And if you look at the video on your screen right now, I also walk through the graph that transformed my life from being the law school dropout and about 60 pounds overweight to a multi-millionaire before the age of 30. And I walk through that entire process in that video. So make sure you watch that, and I'll see you guys in the next video.